know most of you, I know a few of you. My name is Buffy Kirkman, and I am in Southern Indiana, right outside of Louisville, Kentucky. And I have been, um, thanks, in AI pretty heavily, just for over a year, I would say. I've dabbled in it here and there, but really haven't used it fully until March of 2025. So really, it's been a really, really fast journey. So I tell that to you because literally with just about a year and 3 months, I am now in my area kind of one of the leading experts in AI, and that was done in just about a year's time. So it does not take very long or very much effort to actually be really, really good at AI. And you do not have to be techie. I do not have a tech background at all. I was an elementary school teacher. So that is me in a nutshell. I also want to tell you, just so if you hear weird noises behind me, I have a French bulldog who's very, very loud snorer, and she's sleeping on the bed behind me. So if you hear really, really loud snoring, that is her behind me. So just wanted to tell you that, just in case. So let me see. Why don't you, while we're waiting just another minute or two, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to share my screen and dive all in. But if you want to just put in the chat, where do I have people coming from today? I know not everyone's cameras are on. So if you're shy on camera, maybe you can put some comments in the chat for me and just let me know, where are you located? Okay, we got Boston, Wisconsin. Ooh, we're all over the place. Um, okay, anywhere else we got going on? All right, I now have host capabilities, so I should be able to share my screen. So let's see if I can do this correctly. All right, can you all see my screen? Yes? Perfect. Okay. No, again, I tell you, I'm not a techie person. I'm good at AI, but I'm not super techie. So if I don't do it correctly, just let me know if you can't see me, because a lot of times I kind of forget what if I'm showing the right thing or not. Okay, so today we are going to talk about building your second brain with AI. This is absolutely super important for me personally. I have 13 different LLCs and about 4 main businesses that I run the operations for. I would not be able to keep anything straight if I did not have AI to just help me keep my brain organized. So I really do think of AI as my second brain. If I wasn't able to do that, there's no way I could keep anything straight. So I'm going to talk to you today about some tools and also just how to think about AI, because really it's more about switching your thinking about AI than it is learning any of the tools. Because if you can learn how to think about it and how to switch your brain and how to apply AI, it will really make a difference in your business. Okay, let's see. So, if you have ever asked ChatGPT the same question twice, rewritten your bio over and over again for something, re-explained your entire business, or lost a great prompt that you'll never find, that is, if you are already using AI and wondered, hey, didn't I already figure this out? Then you don't need better AI, you need better memory. You need to show it how to remember these things because it has amnesia. Okay, so I want you to think about when you are using AI. This is a problem that I see across many agents who are kind of diving into it, right? So imagine that you have the smartest employee ever. Like, this is your best person. And they can write, they can research, they can analyze, they can brainstorm, they can build, they can do all the things. They are the smartest hire you have ever made in your life. But every single morning, they forget who you are, and they forget what company they're working for, and they forget everything that you've told them about your business. That is literally what I see over and over and over again, is people are doing everything in chat threads and they are not actually teaching AI who they are and who their business is. And so AI has no memory. And so it is like having all of this at your fingertips, but not giving it the context to actually remember and apply that same knowledge every single day to what it's doing for you. Okay. So AI needs to first know your company, your clients, your processes, your voice, your experience. You have to teach it all of these things. And every conversation that you give it should make it smarter, not have to start over and over again. When we end up just telling it those things in a chat thread, then every single time it can remember maybe a little bit if you can find that same chat thread again. Okay, but what we want to do is we want to give it big context, especially if you're running possibly multiple businesses or different things in your business, then it should be trained a little bit differently. And don't worry, we're going to go over what that might look like and then some extra tools for workflows. Okay, so here's what I think of as a second brain. Okay, it's not another notebook. It is not another app. It is not a place to keep everything on a legal pad that you need to do that day, right? It is a place that you can keep everything worth remembering so that you can find it and your AI can use it over and over again without having to go searching for it. Okay, it is an operating system for your company. Okay. And when we think about, especially once you start using a lot of AI tools, it gets really challenging to remember, okay, which one did I do that thing in? Which one has this marketing presentation that I really liked? Which one had the listing description that I really wanted? And since sometimes, like if you're in ChatGPT, for example, it names all of the threads. Well, then maybe you didn't name it. And so you can't remember what thread it was that actually had the thing that you liked that you wanted to go find later. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to organize and think about whichever AI platform you're using. Okay. But how to think about it in 4 different main sections. Okay. So 4 things that every AI should know about you. Okay, think about it instead of organizing not just folders and projects, but organizing the knowledge that's in your head. Okay, so first, all of the knowledge that is about who you are. Okay, who am I? What do I sound like? What is my company? Okay, anything about you. Okay, and then secondly, anything that's about what do you do? Okay. And then about your clients, who do you help? What does it need to know about them? Okay. And then how do I work? What are your systems? What are your processes? What are the things that you do over and over again? So we're going to look at each one of these things. Okay. So first pillar. Pillar 1, who am I? You're going to store everything in this pillar of knowledge based on your brand voice and your identity. This is why when people use AI, ChatGPT, to just say, hey, write a listing description for this house, or write a Facebook post that I can put about this house. This is why you see so much generic AI content out there, right? So it needs to know your biography, your brand story, how you got into the business, everything about you. How do you sound? What do you like? What do you hate? Who are your favorite people to work with? Even your hobbies. What are you passionate about? How do you write? What's your personality? Okay. What are your core values and goals? And the best thing you can do is give it examples of your writing. Okay, so if you have any sort of newsletter or piece, or you're like, you know what, I did a really good job on this listing presentation, whatever you can give it that you actually personally wrote, then it can mimic that so that when it does make those posts, when it does make that description, it sounds like you, not like a bot that wrote it. Okay. And then every single time you add to this knowledge, it gets better and better and better because it already knows you. Okay, now I can literally tell you now my chat GPT, which is the one that I've been using for the longest, there is almost no difference if I were to tell it, hey, I'm going to write a paragraph about French bulldogs and have it write a paragraph about French bulldogs and we compare the two, they're going to sound and look very, very, very similar because it knows me so well by now. Okay. And that is what you want it to do. You want it to write and sound like you, not like a computer or a program or just slop that is very, very evident when you scroll through which ones were just written by AI bots and had no kind of context or personality behind it. Okay. So that's the first pillar. Secondly, what do you do? Okay, this is also the second way to organize the knowledge that's in your brain. Okay, everything that describes your business. And if you have multiple businesses, then you need a different one for each business. Okay, what are your services? What are your products? How do you price them? What are the common questions that you get? What are the weird scenarios that you deal with? Okay, what does your normal process look like? Who's on your team? What's your business model? What's your step by step? Okay, instead of explaining your company every time, if you have any of these documents already made, so if you have a listing presentation, if you have a buyer consultation, if you have an employee handbook guide, anything that you already have that you can upload to it, it's also going to help it understand your business and how you work. I forgot on the other one that about who you are. If you have anything that's like a personality test, right? So if you have any sort of a strength finder, if you have your KPA, if you have your DISC profile, that would also be really helpful on that first pillar of who you are. Okay, because it actually knows how to read all of those personality tests. So anything like that that you've done, that would also go under that who am I category. Okay. All right. Third, this is where it really starts to make a difference in marketing, especially. Okay. Knowing who do you help? Okay. Your ideal client. Okay. If you have a perfect avatar built out. Okay. If you do not, that is fine, but it will actually serve you best if you can think of who was that favorite client that you worked with. If you had to pick from anybody that you've worked with in the last 2 years, who was that person? And then literally tell AI everything that you can about that person, including but not limited to what were their hobbies, what are their jobs, what's their income level, where do they go to church, how many kids do they have, where did they go to school, everything that you can tell them that you know about that client. It will actually build it into a real life person avatar, not just a generic, I help buyers and sellers or I help investors. But no, I help a 42-year-old woman who has 2 kids and is a single mom and has this job and goes to this church. The more specific you can get, the better the marketing is going to be because it understands who it's talking to and it's going to talk to that specific person over and over again. So it's going to sound like a conversation to a real person instead of just very generic marketing. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Also, after you tell it everything that you can think of about that favorite person, then you can say, okay, for this 42-year-old mom who has a dog, a goldfish, a cat, and 3 kids, what are their pain points? What keeps them up at night? What do they want to know about buying a house or selling a house? What are going to be the things that are most important to them? Okay. And what do they feel like through this process? What do they feel like at the appraisal process? What do they feel like at the inspection process? What are things that are literally going through their minds? AI will help you identify the things that are most important and keep them up at night if you give them a really good profile of who you're thinking of. Okay. And then that content, that marketing becomes really, really crystal clear and super targeted. And people will start to stop and see your post because it actually is talking to them directly instead of just a generic out there for. Okay, so that's the third pillar. So again, first pillar, who you are. What are you like? Second, what's your business? What are the things that are true about your business? And then third, who's your client? Who do you help? Okay, organizing it in these 4 buckets of categories. And then finally, your gold mine of systems and processes. How do you work? Okay, any sort of checklist that you have, any sort of standard operating procedure, any meeting agenda, any email responses, any templates you have whatsoever. Do you send the same kind of email out when a buyer goes under contract? Do you send a closing email out when the seller goes under contract? Do you have something that asks for reviews, right? You can dump all of that in, anything that you don't want to have to actually type over and over and over again, and it will keep all of that knowledge. Okay. If you don't have any of these things, then you can start to ask it and say, hey, what is missing? What kind of workflow and checklist and operating procedure should I have for my business? Okay. And it can question you, and you can start to just talk to it, and it will tell you these things of what's missing in your business and what you should build. Okay. All right. Those are the 4 main pillars. Any questions on those so far?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
I also put it in the chat. I'm just curious in terms
Oh, I
of,
can't see my chat. Hold on one second. Let
oh,
me
no
see.
worries. I can repeat it. I don't feel like all of my marketing is truly from my voice. And so I don't feel like I have a true voice. And so it's all piecemeal. Maybe I've used templates. Maybe I've copied and pasted and altered things or maybe I've just, ripped off and repeated like Keller Williams encourages. So my question is, can we use videos when we're talking to use to help find the voice? Can we use other things that are non-real estate related to help find
Yeah.
the voice?
Yeah.
And
You can
then what
literally
other things do you
upload.
recommend?
Yes, you can upload any of those type of things. Um, Videos has to have a transcript with it or AI can't read it. So if it's just a plain video, you do have to make sure you have a transcript with it if that's how you talk. So if you literally just want to like record, if you get permission with a client that you're talking to and you just say, hey, is it okay if I record this? You could just use the notes app on your phone and then hit get transcription and upload that. And that will actually mimic how you sound, right? Because it's an actual transcription of words that you've said. So that would be a way if you don't have anything that you've actually typed and written. Um, Otherwise, you can also just kind of like have it pull all the emails and stuff. Anything that you've written personally, that would also help it kind of know what you sound like. Um, Text messages, screenshots of those, anything that you can think of, where do you actually sound like you? Um, and that would be a way that it could pull from your voice. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay. So this is just, I don't know. Can you guys still see my screen is just not all full screen anymore, which is great because I need my tabs next. Okay, so every time AI gives you something valuable, then you're going to ask yourself, will you want this, right? Then yes, you either save it or delete it. If you're not going to want it ever again, then don't clutter up your AI system with a bunch of things that you were just like testing out or trying. Just delete it, get rid of it. Okay, so now I'm going to go through about 6 tools really, really quick and show you kind of how to use them in a fire hose type manner. So I apologize ahead of time, but I'm going to go really, really fast because I only have like 30 minutes and I got a lot to show you. Um, I did see another hand. Was there a question before I go into this really quick?
Yes, I was just wondering if Gemini would be covered as far as how to save those chats, because I do see like the thumbs up and the thumbs down. So is this saying if we give it a thumbs up, it'll automatically save it?
So I don't do a lot of teaching in Gemini because Gemini is the hardest out of any of them to organize because it doesn't have projects, it doesn't have folders. So usually the ones that I teach are Claude and ChatGPT because those are the easiest to organize your information. Gemini I use mainly like Google. But you might have to ask it the best way to save and store in Gemini. I am not a Gemini expert. I literally only use that one for like my sidebar to ask it questions as I'm like looking at something. So that is the one, unfortunately, that I'm the least familiar with. So I apologize about that.
No worries. I'll copy it and I put it into a Word doc and then I save it that way has been the only way, but I'll ask it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. But let me show you a couple of other ones and then see if any of those might be easier
We're
for
best
you.
friends, me and Gemini, like every single day we work together. And it took me a long time to learn what you just went through, but it knows exactly who I am, who my business is,
Perfect.
who my husband
As
is,
long
how
as
we
you
work.
have one that you are using and understands how to organize those four pieces of information, you are golden. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you a few here. So first, Claude projects. Okay. So again, most of the ones that I teach or show is Claude or ChatGPT because those are the ones that more people are familiar with or they're the easiest to organize. Okay. So in Claude projects, this is where you would upload it. And then once it's there forever. Okay. If you are just using a regular Claude chat thread, then it starts over and over again from zero every time. Okay. So let me show you really quick after this screen up here goes away. Hold on. There we go. All right. So if I am in Claude, right? Can you see my Claude screen? Over here, you have projects. Okay. So once you have a project folder, right? And you can have a lot of different project folders, but you can see once you're in the project, these are all of the files, right? So it knows all of this context about you and it keeps it organized in that project. Okay. You can also give it instructions. So you can say, hey, I want it to always sound this way or to speak in this voice or to never use this, right? So you can give it, so if you have instructions and you say, hey, I'm in this state and I always need it to abide by these state fair housing laws, rules, anything like that, that can go in the instructions. Anything that you want it to always do, never do, things like that. Then the other nice thing about Claude projects is it keeps all of your chats organized under that project. So you don't have to go searching on the left-hand side through all of these to try to remember where you put that one thing. It keeps it organized under the project for you. Okay, so that is the difference between projects and just chat. Okay, then artifacts are what the actual kind of like app is that you can share out that is an interactive. Okay, so if you have an artifact is like a fancier coded thing that over here, see on the right hand side, this is what you could actually share out, but it's interactive. Okay, so if this was a showing sheet and they were looking and you shared this with your client and you had a bunch of showings lined up, right? Then they can remember what about that one house that they saw. And gotta move your faces out of the way. Hang on. Okay. And the most important thing is they can then score it just on their phone, right? So you know how hard it is to remember after you've seen like three houses, which one was what, right? So they can score it as they're walking through, whether they liked it, loved it, maybe, and then it can rank them all at the end. It ranks it for them. And then when it's done at the very end, it can see hey, which one out of these ones that I saw did I actually like the best, and help them actually remember how it was scored. Okay, so this is an example of an artifact. An artifact is like an app that you can share to them. It's interactive. They can do it on their own phone, right? And they don't need a Claude account. They don't need anything. It's just a HTML code. Okay, kind of like sharing, just any sort of website with them. So this is what an artifact is in Claude. Okay, and it makes it really pretty and kind of nice to look at. If you're going to use anything other over and over again, you want to build a skill. Okay, a skill is where Claude can remember all of the steps and do it the same way every single time. Okay, so if you are pulling together a CMA, you can talk to it once and tell it exactly, hey, I go here first, and then I compare these things, and this is the next step. And you can just walk it through everything that you do and then say, hey, make this into a skill, and it will do it that same way every single time. Okay, so instead of doing it all in a chat thread over and over again, when you finish with something, you can just say, hey, make this into a skill, and then it can be repeated over and over again. Okay. Also, if you want to customize your Claude, you can go here to connectors. Okay. And connectors will have all of the different things that you already use. Okay, so you can connect your Gmail, your Jotform, your Airtable, your calendar, all of those things can be connected so that it knows, so that it can send emails for you, anything like that. Okay, and then a plugin is where it can apply skills and projects and all of the things together, and it's kind of like this big hybrid thing. You can also just search or sort by different things that were, there you go. So these are ones that other people have built, right? So you could do a search that way for plugins. So you could have like a legal plugin if you wanted, and to have it like read through contracts for you. So normally those are organized by industry, things like that. So that is just a super quick overview of how to save those 4 pillars in Claude. Okay. Next, if you were to do the same thing in ChatGPT, okay, there's a couple of things. You can build a custom GPT, which go here to more, GPTs, create, and then you just toggle this back or forth. Configure is like if you know everything that you want it to do, here's where you can upload all those files that I was talking about. Or you can just create it by talking to it and then uploading things there as well. Okay, so if again you wanted to have something in your brand voice, you could just start talking to it and say, hey, I need help figuring out my brand voice. And how can you help me know how I talk? What would be helpful? Have it ask you questions. And then you can just have a conversation with it, and it can build something that will help you be your brand voice as a custom GPT. Okay, so that is custom GPTs. You can build them for all sorts of things in your business. So here's an example of, here are mine. I have a whole bunch of different ones used for a lot of different things. Okay, they can also be shared to your clients, right? So that's the really nice thing about ChatGPT and custom GPTs is ChatGPT is still one of the most widely used, well-known AI platforms out there. So your clients are probably familiar with this one. So if you build them, for example, a home buyer guide, and this one I for sure gave like a silly title so that we know that it's not a for real one, but it can just walk them through the process, right? And this is something that you can share with them. And again, it's all in your voice. It just asks them questions. They can then try. So you can see this one sounds like me, right? And then it just asks them questions A, B, C. And then every 3 or 4 questions, it asks them, hey, are you ready to talk to an agent yet? Hey, are you ready to talk to a lender yet? And it just refers them back to you. Okay, so the reason for doing this is it's reaching them on a platform that they're already familiar with. And in order to share that, you can just go up here and share that with them, and then they can actually use it. And you don't see any of their information. They can stay in their pajamas. They don't have to talk to you until they're ready to talk to you, right? Which is how I prefer it. I don't want to talk to people until I'm ready to talk to people. Okay, so once you have a custom GPT, you can also create projects, much like Claude. And then once you're in that project, you can then pull in that custom GPT by using the @ symbol. So if I'm going to go into my wealth series and I want to write a follow-up email, I can use the @ symbol and say @Buffy's brain, which is the one where I started talking to it and it thinks like me. Okay, write a follow-up email to thank people for attending the last wealth class. Okay, and so see how it says Buffy's brain at the top? It's pulling in that information. So like that brand guide that you build, once you build that whole thing, you can just pull it into your project. It can reference any custom GPT that you made, and it still keeps it organized under that project folder. Okay, so that is how to use some of the things in ChatGPT and keep yourself organized. Okay, so those are 2 just main normal LLM platforms. Questions on either of those 2? Okay, all right, let me get back here. So that was Claude, that was ChatGPT. I showed you the banana home buyer guide. Okay, so projects organized, chats are under those project folders. You use your file, you can upload your custom GPTs, and then you can pull those into the project by using the @ symbol. Okay, next, one of my most favorite tools of all time, Notebook LM. Okay, so Notebook LM is a closed source. It allows you to put up to 300 sources in there at one time, and it can turn really boring information into really cool things. This one is free. It is by Google. And let me find my tab on it. Here we go. So Notebook LM, you can dump into it basically any sort of source. So if you have, YouTube videos that you need to catch up on, say there was a great speaker and you have 100 of those YouTube videos and you're like, hey, I just want to know how to use LinkedIn strategy. So you go to Chris Do, you get all of his LinkedIn videos from YouTube and you upload it in here. And then you say, hey, now I have a chat context. What do I need to do to get started to crush LinkedIn? Okay, it can do that for you. It's a closed source that's only going to reference those materials. Okay, you can also then use that source material to make things like infographics. See if this one will pull up. Okay, so it then takes all of that material and it makes it into a graphic that's easier to understand, right? So instead of all of the different things, in a text format, it can do really cool things. It can make things you can make slide decks out of here. You can make podcasts out of here. Let me find a different notebook and I'll show you one. Okay, so for example, this, if you can still see my screen, this is a really, really boring Excel sheet. This is what it looks like. It is literally just numbers. Okay, so the entire sheet looks like this. There is literally nothing exciting about this sheet, right? It is just numbers that we have been tracking for 3 years, about as boring as you can possibly get. But I can take that sheet of numbers, I can put it into Notebook LM, and then I can make that sheet more interesting to look at. Okay, so here again is that same, all it has is that one number sheet, but now this is a much easier to read graphic, right? So I can do that even if I use the same exact sheet, but I want content, I could literally do that every single month and just tell it a different theme, right? So I could give it, I think I did, I don't remember if this one might be the FIFA. Yeah, so this one was like a FIFA themed, right? So again, same boring number sheet, but now in a much more fun way to view the same inventory, the same interesting, make it just a little bit more palatable, I guess. Okay. You can also, this one will play. Sometimes Zoom won't play it. But can you hear it? Okay. So there's something in Zoom which won't let it play, but it basically is two people talking about the numbers and it makes it into a podcast. Okay. You can also make it, again, same sheet of numbers, right? But now on the side, you can see here, this is a slide deck now that makes talking about the numbers a little bit simpler. Okay. So those are some ideas of what you could do with Notebook LM. You can also put, let's say, a whole bunch of like, say, of a new builder, right? You can put all of their plans, all of the HOA, all of the regulations, all of the anything into Notebook LM and have a source for being able to ask any question. So if you need to know, hey, how high can the fence be if they want to put a fence, or what color can the shed be in this neighborhood, then it's not going to go out and just make up an answer from looking at it on the internet. It's going to actually only reference the sources that you put in here. Okay, questions on Notebook LM? All right, I told you I'm going fast. All right, next up, we have Twin. So Twin is a newer thing. I have been using it since January of this year, so about 6 months. I really, really like it because it is a connector behind the scenes that can do multiple things. Okay, so it can go do things on your behalf and send it as a report into your email. So for example, it works great as a lead source scraper. Let me move. I need to move this out of the way. Move you. There we go. Okay. So for example, this is what Twin looks like. The font is really tiny. Sorry about that. But if you go to home, okay, it will give you some options of things that are kind of pre-built, and then you can just click them and it's the shell and you just connect your thing to it and it all automatically does it. So I discovered Twin at about 2 a.m. after a couple glasses of wine. And I was like, hey, I wonder if I can get leads off of this. And I'd never tried it before. And so I literally typed in a really terrible 2 a.m. prompt and was just like, hey, I'm looking for motivated leads that might be willing to sell to a flipper. And I woke up the next morning to an email that looked like this. So this came from Twin. This is my motivated seller leads report. It tells me how it found them, how many were pre-foreclosure, how many were FSBOs, what counties they were from. Okay, so this is the report that showed up in my email. Okay, it put them all into a Google Sheet for me. And if I click on this, it also drafts personalized outreach letters to those sellers for me. So then literally all I have to do is hit print on the computer and mail it to the address that was listed in the sheet. And I could actually probably tell it to go ahead and do that. If I wanted to connect a postal service to it, it would just send these letters for me. Okay, so that's an example of what Twin can do. So in order to discover ones that are already pre-built for you, you can just go here to discover on the side, and you can pick whatever industry you're in, so real estate, and then this gives you an idea of ones that have already been built, right? So, hey, I built one. Most of these were built by me or my team because I think we were the only ones to play around with it for like the first 6 months that they were in existence. So I have one that goes and looks for probate leads for people who are, and one that looks for divorce leads, so people who are getting divorced. And the same thing, it gives it to me in my email, it drafts the letter. I can then just print the letter and send it out. Okay, so different things like that. So these are just ideas and shells of ones that people have done. So that is what Twin can do. So you literally can have an agent that goes and does things on your behalf for you. And then it just sends you the result or the report or whatever it is that you're looking for into your email inbox every morning. Okay. All right. I know I'm going pretty fast. I got like 15 minutes left. Let me do one more and then I will stop and make sure that we have any questions answered. Okay, so here are some examples of things that you could do in Twin, right? So you could have your inbox assistant, you could have a seller report. I have one that pulls all the information, showings, how many times it's been liked, saved, all that kind of thing, and makes it into a seller report that we can send out every week to our sellers, wondering, what's happening after how many days on the market, that kind of thing. So some ideas for Twin. Next one, Gamma. I use Gamma a lot because I teach. And so this is great for building any sort of presentation, consultation, workshop, slide deck, anything like that that you need to build. I love Gamma for this. Twin now has an integration with Gamma. So I haven't played with that yet, but apparently I can now tell Twin to go build the thing in Gamma, and then I don't even have to go build it in Gamma. Okay, so this is what Gamma looks like. I want to just show you really quick because it's really, really simple to use. So for example, I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and this is going to be really terrible and really fast. But I'm going to say, hey, I'm teaching a class on using AI as a second brain. I need a slide deck in the next 10 minutes. Build me a Gamma prompt for this class. So again, I'm in ChatGPT. I'm giving it a really terrible prompt, right? But it's going to tell me, what do I need to put into Gamma? Okay, so I'm going to copy what it says here. As soon as it's done generating. Come on, there we go. Copy. I'm going to go into Gamma. I'm going to say create new. Get this out of the way again. Create new. I'm going to paste in text. And I'm going to paste what ChatGPT gave me. Okay, so let's say I forgot all about teaching this class to you guys. And 5 minutes before, I'm like, oh, I have to teach, right? I can dump this into Gamma. Same thing works for buyer consultation, seller consultation. You could do everything same way, right? And just say, hey, I have a on the go listing presentation, buyer consultation, and it's going to build it for you super fast. And you saw what terrible prompt I gave it, right? Like all I did was say, hey, I have a class in 5 minutes. It's on using AI as your second brain. Give me the prompt for Gamma. I copied, I pasted, and now I have an actual slide deck that I could use to teach a class if I had forgotten that I was teaching a class, which I didn't forget about this one, but it has happened to me before, and I have literally had to build a class in less than 10 minutes. So I will forever be grateful to Gamma because of this. Okay, so it's still building, but you can see how fast it's able to do this, right? So again, and it looks really, really professional and well put together, and it prevents me from having to go into Canva and try to find a template that I like. Like I'm just letting it do its thing, right? And if I don't like something that it says, I can just type in here, take out. It's very easy to edit, right? It's still going, but It's literally just click in there, delete what you don't want, type in there, change out the pictures. It works really, really simply. And again, looks really professional, all put together, with all of the graphics, slide decks, things like that. And I don't really have to do much to work on it, right? I can just tell ChatGPT that I need a prompt for it, copy, paste that prompt, and it's ready to go. Okay. Now, if you are using this for a listing presentation, do be careful because Gamma / ChatGPT, it will make up information about your house. So you need to like read through it if it's going to have information about the house, because it might make up stuff like, hey, it has a glistening pool in the background, or 3 fireplaces, or, something that may not actually be true about the house that you are trying to do. But so you do need to read through it, but it works great if you need to have kind of like a marketing presentation or something ready very quickly. Any sort of guide, slide deck, talk that you're doing. All right. This one, I will stop on there. Okay. So on those, let me just finish here and then I will take any questions if we have. I know I've gone through pretty fast on here. Okay. So if you're building, again, the entire AI ecosystem, right? Changing how you think about it, your vision, your decisions, your second brain, which can hold all of your thoughts. And then these are the things that actually do things for you. And they're learning from the same source. Okay. So you can choose any of these that feeds all of them. And they can all be connected through those connections that I showed you. Okay, so if I were to get started, I would say just build one thing tonight. Pick whatever platform you are the most comfortable with, whether that's Gemini, whether that's Claude, whether that's ChatGPT, and start with a brand guide of who you are. How do you sound? Put that in some sort of project or folder and let it know who you are. Then work with the next thing. Hey, who am I talking to? Build out that. Okay, it doesn't actually take a lot of time to be able to get your AI to really know who you are and who you're talking to and be able to start moving things forward in your business. Okay, so if you're going to switch thinking about AI, right, instead of, hey, what prompt do I need to have it do this thing? What's your 4 pillars of knowledge you need to save? Okay, and that's how you can move your businesses forward. Okay, so again, your first brain, that's for your thinking, your planning, your vision. Your second brain that you build is for remembering. That's where it holds all of that information that you feed it once, and you don't really have to feed it again. And then you can use AI to use those things and actually go do things for you. Okay, and that's how you can build the leverage in your company. So, want to make sure I will send the slides. I will send a document of, the main overview of the tools that we talked about, the links so you don't have to remember. If you want to follow me, buffykirkman.com has replays of all of the classes that I've taught. It's got anything that I have coming up. I am doing a Claude class next week, a twin class at the end of the month. So things like that. And that's my Instagram handle. I'm on Facebook. You can find me everywhere, and send me any questions as far as that goes. But let me stop sharing. There we go. Any other questions? I can now see the chat. So I can send you prompts to help you build the 4 pillars that we mentioned. I can put that in a follow-up email to go out. I can send you prompts on the buyer sheet, anything like that. Again, if you can dream it, if you can think it, you can literally just have a conversation with it and tell it your ideas and it can build it for you. As far as images in the presentation, if you were talking about Gamma, yes, it's going to automatically put in AI generated images, but if you double click on them, it's just a drop down and then you say upload from computer instead. And so then you would just, like, if you have a folder of listing photos, then you would just put the listing photos in there instead. Does that make sense? Okay. I was like, I can show you, but it's pretty, you just double click on it and just change the one and drop it in and it will just change it out. But it will automatically do AI images for you. So if, for example, it's a listing presentation, but you don't have, professional photography or anything yet, you may want AI generated images, but make sure they're like sketch drawings or cartoony kind of images so it doesn't look like you're trying to give them this house that has nothing to, look like this house that has nothing to do with their house, right? Because I've had that happen before. So I just try to make sure that it's definitely like a watercolor or a sketch or something like that if I don't have real photos to use. Okay. So as far as storing the information for the 4 pillars so it remembers you in ChatGPT, I would first do a custom GPT for your brand voice, right? And then I would create a project. And then the project is anywhere where you can then pull in that custom GPT. But that's what I would start with. I would do a custom GPT for each one of those things first, and then you can pull those into your projects. So then you could have like a listing projects folder, a buyer's projects folder, an investor's project folder, and then you use the at symbol to say, hey, at my client avatar, I want to make a buyer consultation for this client avatar in my brand voice. Does that make sense? I can show you that part again if you need to. All right.
I have
I
a
know
quick
I talk
question.
really fast. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a quick question if that's okay. So right now, I've been using ChatGPT a lot, ChatGPT and Gemini interchangeably, to see which one gives me the one that I
Yeah.
like best. Okay.
Yep.
But the one thing I have been doing, because this is all still fairly new to I think most of us, okay, is um every time I do something, I create a new chat. So I have literally like 100 different chats with 100 different
Yep.
things. Is there a
Yep.
way to just ask ChatGPT to categorize the chats that I've had and break them back down into categories? Like take a look at all the chats I've had and say, you know, organize it into listing descriptions, graphics, requests, things like that.
I
Is there a way
don't
to
know that
like organize what I've already done?
I don't think that you can go back and add those chats to a project after the fact. But you could say, hey, from everything that you know about me, from all of our chats, can you summarize what you think my brand voice is or something like that? If you have not in chat yet, hold on, let me share screen again. Um, The first thing that you need to do in chat, if you have not done this, is you need to go to where your name is and go to personalization. So this has to be done absolutely first before anything else. So if you go to here to personalization in your chat, I keep having to move things out of the way. Hold on. Okay. Then you can give it the instructions about you, right? So the more that you can fill out this, then the more that's going to apply to every chat, no matter what. So you need to be able to at least fill out this section, and then that will live across all of your chats. But then I would go into also the projects and the custom GPTs and things like that. Because again, you can't do those unless you have the paid plan, but you can do this with the free plan. And then apps is where you do your connections. Okay, so you can connect your Canva, your Gmail, your calendar, your Google Drive, all of those things are under apps in ChatGPT. But that's where I would do that is I would create a custom GPT for your brand voice. and then start pulling it into projects. And you can see, for example, like I said, it's so much easier to find them, right? So if you're in my military, then all of my chats are already organized under there. So then if you have a listing folder, things like that, or, by just listings, and then each chat could be like the address. So it just makes everything so much easier to find when it's organized. And you don't really have to worry if you have hundreds of chats in the side. You can always start fresh, right? With like, look how many I have over here. Like, I'm never going to remember all of those, which is fine. And I'm not going to remember what they're called, right? Because I just have too many. But once I figured out how to do the projects, then going forward, I can at least say, hey, from now on, I know where to find the things that I'm doing on a regular basis the most often. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Other questions? Y'all are a quiet bunch.
We're all so overwhelmed. We don't know where to begin.
Well, again, I know that I talk really fast, and I told you it was just going to kind of be a fire hose of lots of different things. But I will send a follow-up email that has the different tools and what they do, the slide deck, so you can see those. Again, you'll have my contact information, so feel free to follow me, join any of the other classes that I'm teaching. We are doing. My group is doing a really big pre-mega camp event in San Antonio. So if any of you guys are going to mega camp, we're doing it like a whole day AI workshop. So that is something if you want to like actually be hands-on. Lots of different opportunities to learn and do things live, so that you aren't just receiving the information like a fire hose, but you're actually like doing something with it. Because that's where I see a lot of people get stuck, right? They just are like, I don't have time to learn another thing. So I would say if there's anything about AI that I can tell you from my experience, is it is not learning a new thing. It is literally just, hey, switching your brain to how can I do this at the beginning of what I was already going to do anyway. Okay. And just start training yourself to, hey, I'm going to do this project next, and this is how I would normally do it. But let me go into chat first and say, hey, this is going to be what I'm working on next. How can you help me do it better, faster, anything like that? And just start, and you'll be amazed by how you end up switching your brain to be able to use AI to help you organize everything and do it better each time. The other thing I would say, other AI tip I would tell everyone is instead of asking it questions, have it ask you questions. AI does not have the biases that you do. So even if you have something like your goals or what you want to accomplish, the second half of the year, hey, am I on track? Am I not on track? Like, hey, I want to close 40 deals this year and I'm only at 15. What can you tell me about my business? Can you ask me questions about myself and about what I'm doing to help me actually accomplish my goal? And it will get really, really down and dirty with you, but it doesn't have the same biases, and it doesn't care as much about hurting your feelings. So sometimes you need that, right? You need that clarity, and you need a computer or a robot to just tell you what you're not doing or what you need to be doing. And I've really figured out a lot of things where sometimes I was just focused on the wrong thing. And I just needed that outside opinion to tell me, hey, you're spending your time on the wrong thing. So don't underestimate using AI to actually take an outside look at your business as well. All right. We are right at the top of the hour, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Again, buffykirkman.com. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out there, follow me, and I'm happy to answer your questions. I appreciate you all today. Have a great rest of your weekend. See you later. Bye.